Hi, welcome to my podcast, Becoming a Cut Flower Grower. I'm your host, Lydia, and I'm here to share my year of growing and selling cut flowers. I'll be giving you the lowdown on everything I'm doing and sharing all the highs and lows, the good times and the inevitable disasters, all in real time. Join me on my cut flower journey, starting right now. Hello, and welcome to the latest episode. It is Friday evening, the 11th of July. And what I thought I'd do this evening is actually bring you with me onto the plot. So I've come up this evening, I'm just about to feed the ducks, and I thought we'd take a walk around the plot in real time and I can share everything that's going on with you because it's been a baking hot day today, absolutely baking. And I have been at home making some updates to the website and also trying to stay cool, which was futile. I'd have been better off going outside. Hello, everybody. Wow. You guys are hungry. Hang on, it will quieten down in a minute when I put their food down, but they are a little bit hungry. There we go. Lovely, total silence, that's what we like. So yes, I was watching the Wimbledon this afternoon. It was the men's semi-final. Very good matches, but I have no idea how they actually managed to play in that heat because I was just sitting down and I was struggling. Anyway, I brought the dog up with me tonight, so if I forget that I'm recording this podcast and I shout at the dog, I'll try and edit it out later. So I haven't brought her up here for a while. A couple of reasons. One, she has a very bad habit of doing a poo somewhere she shouldn't. And two, I just found out, well, actually two is that she has these mock fights with Roland and I'm not convinced that she would win. And three is that I've just found out that my neighbours on the plot, who are lovely, but they've been putting rat poison down because all my rats have left here and gone next door to hang out at their place. And so they've been putting rat poison down, and we had a rat dying the other day, which was horrible, very sad. And I understand why people use poison, but when you have to look at them dying, it is really, really distressing. So I thought I'd better not bring the dog up here anymore because although I treat her like a bit of a fluffy princess, she's only a tiny little thing, I do find her eating disgusting things sometimes, and I'm reminded that she is actually a dog and that she might eat something she's not supposed to. But I've had to bring her up because it's too hot to leave her at home. So I have to keep an eye on her, make sure she doesn't fight with Roland, make sure she doesn't do a poo anywhere, and then I step in it and make sure she doesn't eat anything that she shouldn't. So let me start off by just coming into the plot through my new fancy amazing double gates, which is in fact one fence panel that's been chopped up the middle and split in half. I've put loads of bark down on the ground so that I don't step on any metal prongs and get any more holes in my feet. And the first thing that you see is my zinnias. Now I've got mixed batches here, so some of them are about, I don't know, 1.5 to 2 foot tall. A couple of them are flowering, the coral ones, and they really are very, very corally, very, very bright. A little bit brighter than I was anticipating, actually. I thought it might be a sort of softer coral, but no, it's acid coral. And then the second batch is kind of getting there. They need the main stem pinching out. Some of them got done, some of them didn't. And the sweet peas, which are, well, some of them are over 6 foot tall. They've gone over the top of the fence panel. And they're so beautiful. I'm so proud of them. I think the sweet peas actually are, well, I was going to say like my favourite thing, but as we move through the plot, I'll probably say that about everything. But they've done extremely well. And the ones that got pinched out, unofficially pinched out by the ducks, they've almost caught up with their neighbours and flowered beautifully. The only problem that I've got now is that the greenfly have all come back. So if you're a regular listener, you'll know that I had a real greenfly problem before, but they only affected the broad beans. And I had a bit of a disaster brushing them off the broad beans and damaged all the flowers. So I didn't really get any. So then I just grubbed up the broad beans composted them, and I was going to plant something in there, only now it's just a heat wave, so I thought not a good idea to do that. Anyway, the greenfly, obviously in their reproductive cycle, they're back in abundance, and they're all over some, not all, of the sweet peas. But the flip side of that is the sweet peas are now covered in ladybirds, and I have never in my life seen so many ladybirds. It's absolutely extraordinary. There's about, I don't know, 4 or 5 on each plant. I mean, they're on the fence panels, they're on the floor, they're on the leaves, they're on my feet. It's absolutely incredible. So I'm going to have to do something about the greenfly, though. I mean, I don't know what to do, because if I wash them off, I don't really have enough water, but I'll come back to the water story later. I don't want to damage any of the buds or the stems, but if I leave, and also I don't want to take the food away from the ladybirds, because this is why there are so many ladybirds, because I didn't get rid of the last greenfly properly. But the flip side of that is, if I don't, the greenfly are going to rampage through the sweet peas and cause an awful lot of damage, and I really want them to be good for a wedding I've got in a week's time. I shall have a dilemma about that when I'm not on the podcast. So moving in, we've got the echinaceas on the right. These were grown from seed last year. They overwintered. In fact, they completely vanished. And I assumed that I'd lost a whole lot of them, because there was not even the tiniest bit of evidence that there was anything there. And I really didn't have much faith that they were going to come back, to be honest. And then all of a sudden they just appeared. Now they're about, I don't know, approaching 5 foot tall, and they're flowering, and they're absolutely stunning. Just stunning. Not going to say they're my favourite, but they're pretty close up there. Now, I planted some rudbeckias a few days ago, which I knew was going to be a disaster. These are the ones that I bought from my neighbour, who's an excellent grower. He grew the echinacea for me last year, and, well, not for me, I bought them from him. Got these rudbeckia, and they've just been in trays at home, and I thought they really need to come up here, and they just are not coping at all. And I'm just minded whether I should actually just dig them up, take them home again, and bring them back when the heat wave's over, because they've just got too much foliage, too much of everything, and not enough chance of water getting into the root ball. So that is a disaster. I've got 3 eryngium babies, 4, no, that's a chicory, 3 that I didn't also were here last year, disappeared to nothing, and they've only just decided to make an appearance, which is really odd, because their neighbours are flowering, and they've gone from that white shade to a lovely blue shade. And these guys have just appeared, and they're a couple of inches tall. So I don't know what's happened there. Finally realised that the party's happening and they need to be part of it. Lots of deadheading needed on the cornflowers. I was going for this like a crazy person. As you know, if you listen regularly, I was always yakking on about, oh, the cornflowers this and the cornflowers that. And then I took my foot off the pedal. And then it's fatal, because then you have masses of work to do to get it back into some semblance. And yeah, masses of work there. There's at least an hour's worth of work there, if not more. The verbena looks very nice, but some of the little tiny petals are going, so it looks like, well, they just don't look as full as they have been. I think this heat's just going to do for so much stuff. The agapanthus are coming up, which is nice, so hopefully I'll be able to do something with them. Still lots of achillea. That's going off to a wedding next weekend, I think. And the rudbeckia, the heleniums, the eryngium, they're just bomb-proof. They look exactly the same. Every time I come up here, they look exactly the same. They just look beautiful. Most of the orlias now have gone to seed, and so I'll be harvesting that and saving it for next year. So that'll save me having to buy them. Agastache looking lovely, and I've got a few more Astrantia stems, but absolutely nothing to write home about whatsoever. And the calendulas, I think I'm going to let them all go to seed now. I'm not sure it's worth deadheading them now. I don't think I feel like they're going to burn out. Maybe I'll do half of them and then leave the other half. So moving along, I've got my first scabious flower has come out, and it is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. So I've never grown this before, and they're lovely. They looked really shaky for ages. No one did anything. In fact, one of them died. And I thought, gosh, this is going to be a nightmare. And then all of a sudden, you've got these womphing great plants, and somebody's flowered, which is gorgeous. I love them. They're so pretty. And next to them are my snaps. Now, these are some fancy packet I bought this year because I was just determined that I was going to be successful with snaps, having never managed it. Oh, there's the poo. I knew she'd do poo. You could have done that earlier. No, I've got a poo. Let me put a cane in so I don't inadvertently step in that later. So I bought this fancy packet of snaps, and they're something like apricot bronze something or other. And they have come up apricot bronze, and they're flowering. I've got like 4 stems. Now, I don't remember pinching them out. I don't know whether I told you I'd done it or not, but I don't remember pinching them out at all. And there's kind of like no evidence that I've pinched anything out. But I've got about 4 or 5 stems coming out from the bottom. But as I say, no evidence. No, in fact, there is a central leader, and then there's all these other stems. Oh no, I may have pinched it there. Gosh, I can't remember anything these days. Well, I'm very proud of those. 1 chocolate sunflower. I decided not to grow sunflowers this year because they took over last year and it all got completely out of hand. And I spent most of my summer trying to stake them. And then I did sell some at the end, but it really wasn't worth devoting that much space to them because there are growers who just grow them on an absolutely vast scale. And in fact, I went to a pick your own sunflower place, and I think that's what cemented it for me, because I was walking through this enormous field of these incredible sunflowers, and they were all £1 each. And I thought, there's just no point me doing all of this, giving all this space over to them. But when my lovely florist, Jo, came round for her visit on Wednesday, she really liked the chocolate one. And she thought I perhaps could have grown more of those. So better do that for next year. I'll tell you about her visit later. So the little sweet pea on stick, supposedly golf balls, have got bigger. Nothing to write home about. And again, what's really apparent is that my plant spacing is just wildly wrong. Like I don't know how I made the decision to plant them at the spacing that I did, but it was probably based on what was supposedly the right thing to do. And the reality is I could have put them about 2 centimetres apart, and then I could have fitted absolutely loads more in. So I'll have to see whether I can get them sold or not, as to whether or not I grow them next year. They're very cute though. I do like them. I think they'll probably look amazing in an arrangement. Second batch of Cosmos, doing fine. Lovely, really strong blue colour, which my first batch had. Oh, the Nigella. Haven't sold any of this, and really, really, really don't want to sell any of it. Like I said last week, I think I'm secretly just going to hang on to that because it is just my favourite thing. It is covered in bees of all different shapes and sizes. It's about 7:30 at night, and they clearly all come out to have their tea. The smallest Amimagus in the world. This was Graceland. I found the variety the other day. Very, very pretty. And my florist thought that she would be able to use some next weekend for bud vases, which is quite frankly all it's good for. But it is very nice, very pretty, just not what I was expecting. And next to it, I've got the Didiscus, and these things are absolutely gorgeous. And I'm definitely going to grow these next year. If you haven't grown them before, I highly recommend them. They were very, very easy to do. They took a bit of time to get going, but now they're here. They're very beautiful. Very, very beautiful, pale, sort of bluey, mauvey colour. And again, I should have dramatically reduced the plant spacing on those. Now, the giant scabious, which is a perennial, Cephalaria, they don't look like they've done a sausage since they went in. and they were sown on the 10th of March, and here we are on the 11th of July. Pretty much nothing going on there. Possibly lack of water, I'm not sure. Achillea the Pearl. Now, I'm very, very proud of these. These guys were perennials, and I didn't think that they would flower this year, which does happen with some of the perennials. So I've bunged them. It's just always the way when you just went, for me anyway, if I don't put any effort into something, normally masses of results. And I bunged them into a row, really close together, thinking that they're just going to grow very slowly this year, just get their roots in, get established. And what have they done? They've just all started to flower. So this looks like the correct plant spacing for everything. So that is going to be my motto next year. Bung it in really, really tight. Don't overthink it. Don't give anybody any space whatsoever. And I don't know why I didn't adopt that policy earlier in the year. I was just trying to do everything too properly, I think, which is ridiculous because in my own garden, I plant everything incredibly close and they all try and outcompete each other. So everything gets really, really tall. The whole space is full. You can't see any ground. There's no weeding to do, super low maintenance, and you just get these really big, aggressive-y, rangy looking plants, which I happen to like. And then when it came to like the cut flowers, I was like, oh, I'd better give everybody at least 20 centimeters. Well, how ridiculous is that? Disaster. Anyway, apricot cosmos, all flowering now. And at the moment, we've got about, 4 or 5 buds on each stem. And again, so much space, you could get a bicycle through each row. I'm almost embarrassed. I am embarrassed. Status, yeah, not much change, but some change I can see, and some of them are starting to flower, so that's good. Straw flowers, complete disaster, have not done anything, don't think they are going to do anything, and something seems to be biting holes into all of the leaves. So not only do they look like they're not growing, they also look like they're under severe attack as well. Also embarrassing. Amaranthus, these guys are amazing. They're now about, 4 or 5 inches, well, 4 inches off the ground. And I decided not to put the rest of the tray in, which was a huge mistake because I didn't think they'd do anything, and now they've done something. So I'm going to have to fish that tray out and have another go. I think I might be ready for like September or something at the rate I'm going. And I've got another bed of scabious in there, and they look like they're about to flower, so that's good. And then the dahlias, so my pride and joy, these guys. I think it's a miracle they're still alive, to be honest. Absolute miracle. No idea how I've done that. What I have discovered in the last few days is that when Richard Bailey wrote the labels, he used a pen that does wash off. So I keep looking at labels and there's nothing on it. So I've only got about 5 or 6 varieties, and I know what they're all supposed to. Oh, something just blew down my t-shirt. Oh, ladybird! What a surprise! So I know what they should be. So when they do flower, I will get some better labels, and I can label them up for next year. And I was showing my other half these the other day, and he said, "Oh, why didn't you put them all in rows according to what variety they were?" I thought, "Oh my goodness, yeah, I should have done that." But I do remember at the time they all came from home in the car in different batches depending on what washing up bowl or tub they were all in, so it was a bit disorganized. But it's not quite time to put the champagne in the fridge to cool down because we're not at that stage yet, but I reckon in 2 to 3 weeks we might very well be at that point, which is hugely exciting. So what else do I have to show you? Well, one of the compost bins is completely full, which is great. I bring stuff from any gardening jobs I do, and as long as I know there's nothing being sprayed on it, then it comes and goes in my compost bin. Peas not quite ready yet, but looking promising. So yeah, that's about it actually. Oh, I know what I had to do. So I have managed to secure a water source, which is a huge deal for me actually. Which means that my other half won't have to bring water from his house in the transit van, which was not sustainable long term, and he'd quite frankly had enough of doing it. Not that he's not massively helpful, because he is enormously helpful, but it was taking an extremely long time. It made a right old mess in his van, and he's on a meter, so it's going to be very expensive. So we've got to work around for that. So what I need to do is drain down the water that is in IBC1 and empty it out. There's only 250 litres in here anyway, but I need to drain it out and send it on its way down to IBC2 so that when we bring the water over tomorrow, we can fill up this and it can start to go on its little journey, because it takes an incredibly long time. Like, you don't realise when you just turn the tap on the mains. Oh, hey, Molly. You don't realise how long it takes for water to get from A to B, and we're so used to like mains pressure and stuff that when you just rely on like gravity fed systems, it just takes absolutely ages to do anything. You want to get down? There you go. Hang on. Okay, there we go. That's Moland. I was just giving him a cuddle. When I got up here last night, Moland wasn't even in the enclosure at all. Not even in his enclosure. Not even in like the secondary safety net enclosure. He was just wandering around the field. And given that Moland's only got one functioning eye and one ear, it's really not the best place for him to be. So he had to go in the special quarantine area today. So that's netted on the roof so he can't get out. Right, I may have to do some siphoning with my tea towel to get this water going. So I'm going to leave you at this point and come back in a few minutes to fill you in on how I got on with my florist visit. Okay, it's me. I'm back. Thank you for that. It's just as well I stopped the podcast, because as I was putting the hose pipe into IBC2, it was leaning against a whole pile of coppiced hazel and some really massive fat bits of wood that all fell on my head, which would have sounded absolutely terrible. So just as well. Okay, so I was going to fill you in very briefly on my visit to the plot from my florist. So she mentioned about coming over last week, and I'm really glad that she came. She was here at 8:30, which was lovely. And no, genuinely lovely, because it was really, really nice and cool. And it meant that we had the whole of the rest of the day to get on with stuff. And she had a really nice wander around and asked lots of questions and saw everything. And I showed her what I'd got and then what might be coming. And it was really great. I was so happy that she's here. And I never actually thought we'd even get to this point, because it's been such a challenging spring. And I wanted to wait until, things started flowering, because if I'd just invited her here a month ago, there would have been absolutely nothing to see. So that was lovely, and we talked about what she might need for the wedding next weekend, and we've earmarked some bits and pieces, so that is really, really good. And I'm just really, really enjoying selling to her. She's a wonderful woman to work with, and she's somebody who's very quick with messaging. She replies to things very, very quickly, which is so important. And she posts photos on her Instagram of arrangements that she's done with my flowers in, which is amazing. And so I'm just really enjoying working with her. And then in the afternoon, my friend Gabby came up to have a look, and I was so excited to show her the plot, because she hadn't been for a while, and it's changed an awful lot since then. And it was really lovely to see her. So I'm hoping that she will come back when the dahlias are flowering and I can show her those. So that is everything that I have to tell you for this evening. So I am now going to get on with probably an hour's worth of watering by hand with my watering cans. And I have a rotation system. So I've got 2 cans coming out of IBC2. One of them is a really big one, and the water comes out very, very quickly. And the other's a tiny, I think it's 6. There's 6 on the side. I'm assuming that's 6 litres. And I go around with that one. But the little tiny one, the 6 litre one, it fills up in 30 seconds. So I have to go up and count out loud to myself if I wander off with the big one, to make sure that I get back in time, so that no water spills anywhere, because it's very precious. Speaking of which, still no sign of any in the forecast, which is slightly dramatic. But there we are. It's just going to be one of those years, and it's been going on for such a long time now that I am just completely resigned to the fact that this is a drought year and given up all hope of any arriving. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend wherever you are and whatever you're doing, at whatever stage you're at with your growing. I'm going to go off and pick up this poo and put it in the bin. So I will be back on Tuesday with some more news and some more updates, and I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. And a shout out to Spencer if you're listening. Hello, my friend. I hope you enjoyed the episode too. Okay, that's it from me. I'll catch up with you next week.